Alright guys, Ben here. We're going to do a quick and hopefully informative review of the RedCat RS10 rockslide budget crawler. It's about 160 bucks out of the box. You know, of course the Proline body doesn't come with it. I've got the factory body, I'll show you. But it functions fine with the factory body. It just looks way cooler with the 73 Ford body on it. I've got a light kit on the body. I've done a lot of work on the body. We'll go over that just briefly. What I really want to do now though is address some of the issues you're going to be having right out of the box as far as some of the wiring. I think they were drinking whiskey at RedCat when they put this together. I don't know if they're on such a budget that they don't have an engineering department or they don't test their vehicles, but within just a few runs out of the box I was having issues with my rear wheels locking up, and I think it happens on the front as well. I'll show you what's going on there, how to avoid it. It doesn't cost anything really, just literally a few dollars in parts, you know, maybe some heat shrink, zip ties, a couple things like that, liquid tape. I'll run through it real fast with you. Hopefully I cover everything and don't leave anything out. I'm going to pop it up on the table now and we'll start tearing it down. Real fast, one thing I did want to show you is the light kit on here is really cool. It's a $20 upgrade. And a little bit of work, of course, you've got to put it in. But you've got cool things like blinkers and floodlights and headlights and Parker lights. And it just makes it kind of neat. And actually, it's kind of fun to crawl around at night. You know, you can see actually really well with them. It shines really bright. Let's go ahead now and I'm going to pop this apart and show you what's going on inside. Okay, as far as the light kit goes, I've got this little pigtail that just kind of goes up and plugs into the bottom of the body, and if you look there, it just plugs right in and just energizes the whole thing. Went ahead, there's a lot of wires to run. You've got to get creative to keep it clean, otherwise you can just zip tie them and roll them in there. It depends on what kind of energy or effort you want to put into it, but then you just hot glue the LEDs behind the body and then paint over the whole unit with, say, RC flat black. And I went one step further and went ahead and threw some flexible sealer in there. It makes it a little more durable, but really it's mostly cosmetics. Keeps everything dry too for the most part. That's basically the light kit. Pretty simple. And like I said, you can put them on any truck you want, any body. I'm more Chevy, pro Chevy, but I love the 73 Ford. It just looks good. So now let's go over a few of the cool things about the RS10 right out of the box. You're looking at a decent controller. Let's see here. You've got a digital display on it. You can program this for several trucks. I've only got it running the one. The only other truck I have right now is this Revo 3.3, and I'm covered, and that's good. The nice thing about this one is the 2.4 gigs, to where these aren't. You've got these enormous antennas. You can potentially poke some little kid's eye out with it or something, or break, and then have to, yeah, it's a nightmare. And the range, believe it or not, is 100% better on this. I can take this 2 or 3 football fields away from me, and I've done it, so I can say that. Now back to this controller, you're looking at this button here. Every time you push this button, it's going to go into a different steering mode. This has, I think, 3 or 4 different steering modes. You've got front wheel, you've got angled, you've got 4-wheel, rear wheel. Pretty interesting. So let's start here. You look at the truck. Let me bring this over so you can see it. There's your front wheel. You tap that little button there, and you've got, I believe, angled. Yeah. Again, brings the 4-wheel, which is actually what I crawl with the most. It's really handy. Again, brings rear wheel about, and then one more when you're back to front wheel drive, or front wheel steering. What else? I think that's basically one of the cooler features, and you know, I'm sure the high-end crawlers have that in a little, and they're probably better, but that it works. What the heck? Like I said, 160 bucks. You're out the door running. It does come with steel beadlock wheels. Very nice wheels and tires. You can't argue with them. I've seen people selling these on eBay and putting them on other crawlers. I mean, they're amazing wheels and tires. Let's go ahead and shut this off. We don't need it running and buzzing anymore. Here's what we were talking about on the motor. Unfortunately, from the factory, these have a blue and yellow wire coming off here that sticks out a good 1/4 to 1/2 inch. And you're talking every time you're wheeling, every time you turn, either on the front or back, they're identical. and you go, these lugs are clicking those wires, just click, 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 and eventually one of them breaks loose, and if you're unlucky, they stay attached to the motor, they just create a short, and that's where your intermittent problems comes in, and you can't figure it out. Every now and then it's dragging the wheels, but every now and then it's working. The odds are it's going to be right there. Also, though, it could be up here. These wires would run up off the factory, up underneath this tie rod, and then have two butt connectors. That way you can pop those butt connectors apart, and you can disassemble the front or rear end. Handy, but a pain in the butt, because I had a short there as well. I had two shorts. It took me a minute to get it all dialed in. Now, what I did to solve this problem is, you're in a crawler. You've got movement everywhere. It's unavoidable. So what you do is desolder the factory wires, take them out, throw them away, do whatever you want with them, and then get yourself some heavy cord, 12 gauge, something like that, and solder to your positive, negative. Keep in mind which one's positive and negative. That's kind of important. And then button it up as tight as you can to that motor. I use some liquid tape and some heat shrink and zip ties, and basically I've got that thing perfect, just running up the tie rod right into the speed control. Never have an issue with it, because any parts that can break, like the solder points, there's just no possible chance. I don't know, it doesn't show it well, but it's not even coming close to there. So there you go, 100% wheeling, never a problem. It takes a couple hours and some basic skills, soldering skills, things like that. Pretty easy to do. Anybody should be able to, if you're into the hobby, you should be able to do that. The motors were the big issue. Upgrade the battery, of course. I've got an 18 in there right now, but I've got a 5 amp battery somewhere sitting around here. That allows you to crawl for an hour without having to swap the battery out. Definitely upgrade you want to do. There's just no doubt about it. Who wants to sit there and put batteries in and out all day? Because you only get about 15-20 minutes at best off an 18 milliamp battery, and then you're charging it the rest of the night wishing you were crawling. This comes with a aluminum frame basically, but it's gold anodized. I mean, who does that to a beautiful polished aluminum? You can't really see it, but it's polished out aluminum. And we can go into that, but basically you have to sand that anodized crap off, and start with a heavy grit, go light, 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 and then pretty soon you're using mothers and you're polishing it out, and you end up with, like I said, it needs polished again. It's a crawler, it doesn't matter. The pigtail, I went over that. I think that's basically it in a nutshell, guys. I did a crawling video earlier and it wasn't that great. I want to find a nice area and actually show you what this thing can do. Hopefully I didn't miss anything. We'll see you on the next video.